and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth. I'm Judith West, and you're watching the show that focuses on value. Our guest today is Anthony Napoli, who has some good small business tips for us. Hi, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for
having me. Is it Anthony? Tony? What do
Tony
you
is good.
Tony's good, okay.
And Judith or Judy?
I'm Judith, right.
Judith.
We had Charles Hines on before, and he wanted to be Joe. So we'll
go.
go through the cabinets again. I know you have your own business, and you are coping with the downturn in our economy. And then from that, you have learned, or you have some tips for other folks who have different kinds of business. So let's go to the heart of it right up. Your business is event planning.
Yes, corporate event planning.
Yeah, and I would think that that would be very down right now.
It's sort of down. We've had some cancellations.
Are you international?
No, just
national.
Just the tri-state area.
Oh, tri-state. Okay.
New York City, yes.
But so how are you?
Well,
aren't people asking you to downsize it, cut it down, make it cheaper?
All those.
Yeah.
They're asking us to maybe not have the $200 bottle of wine, but the $100 bottle of wine. Yeah. Cutting down size.
I could say I would go for. I hope these don't.
I never believe in spending a lot of money anyway on wine, but
I hope these companies aren't getting bailouts that are asking you for all of this.
As long as I get my check, I don't care. But no, that's some of them are downsizing. Some of them are downsizing what the elements are, and some of them even size-wise. From like 200 people to 100 to 100, or sometimes we do a multiple-day program instead of doing 4 days, down to 2 days.
Yeah, but you have learned some strategies that you followed yourself to cope in these kind of times. What is the most important strategy for a small business that's trying to survive and is faced with this deterioration of the consumer? Interest and dollar.
One thing is to stay lean. The one thing I've learned is the only thing I can't control what's going to happen tomorrow, but I can control my overhead.
Right.
In terms of the rent you pay, or the size of office, or double siding, Xeroxing, as simple as that.
Some small things just like that.
Just like that, just to be lean right now, as lean as you can. And also, since I'm in the service industry, my staff is key. So my first priority is to keep my staff together. Even through the lean times, because it's going to come back.
Right, and this too shall pass.
And when it does come back, we have to be ready to go. And it's almost like shot out of a cannon.
Anthony, I have my own business also, and it's kind of a rite of passage that folks don't start looking at their expenses or at their overhead until their volume falls down. But oftentimes, these same cost-saving measures could work even in more prosperous times.
We've actually, my business partner has started that like 2 years ago before this all began. So we were pretty ready to handle this situation of being lean and negotiating with your vendors for the best telephone packages you can get.
One of the things that I've become a tiger on of late are these fuel surcharges. I mean, there's no reason for a fuel surcharge anymore. Gas is $1.80 a gallon.
Well, exactly, because we do subcontract car services and limo services and bus services. They were charging fuel surcharges, and last month I called them up and said, well, I don't think
it's appropriate
anymore. Some of them were using the fuel surcharges to pay other things.
Well, it's kind of like a given. Once you start getting something,
it's hard to get it away.
You think it's due you. But I think that we have to be more aggressive consumers.
It's like the tolls on the bridges.
Going back to this event planning that you do for a living, and it is an important piece of business. Are people in the partying mood these days? How are you handling that?
Good question. I don't understand people who are canceling holiday parties.
You don't understand?
I don't understand it, because the mood is that we should be having a good time right now. We should trying to smile and not be all the naysayers, and people are canceling their holiday parties. I don't understand that. You don't have to have a champagne party. You can have a potluck party, serve wine and beer, but they're canceling the holiday parties because they think that's what you should do. We have to be conservative.
It seems politically incorrect not to be conservative.
Right, it used to be to spend money and have a big holiday party. Now it's to have no party.
Yeah, but I'm wondering about these your clients who are having these parties. How does their client base feel about it? Are they ready and willing to come?
To the parties?
Yeah.
I think they want to have the party. It's the executive level now who are making these decisions. I think the media has made a monster out of all this, spending money on luxury items, which a party probably could be considered a luxury item. But they don't understand that if you cancel a party, you're canceling out the caterer, the florist, the dishwasher in the restaurant who has a family to feed. Yeah. It's a trickle down.
That's one of the problems with all of this is as soon as you go after the big guy, there's a whole ripple effect of all the little guys that are brought down along with it.
It's all. I mean, now we're all tied together with this. It's not just even a little ripple. It's a big ripple.
But and, we call ourselves here the ultimate cheapskate, getting your money's worth. It certainly is possible to negotiate everything.
Yes, and it's a good time to do that now.
And now's a good time to do it, and it kind of sets a new precedent.
Right, without being greedy about it.
Right.
That's another thing coming through now is greed. It's like I can negotiate anything.
Yeah.
I only have $5 to spend on this. Actually, a restaurateur told me that they were doing a party. They were spending $200 a bottle on wine. He goes, I can only spend $125 a bottle of wine.
That sounds outrageous to me.
Well, anyway, he said, I can only spend $125. Can you give me the $200 bottle of wine at $125? So the restaurateur said, no, just buy the $125 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Which in itself sounds a little outrageous to me.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're all about getting your money's worth here, and I would say that that's a hard.
Right, because that could be even the $40 bottle of wine. But people now, there's a greedy side coming through too, which I don't really care for either. So.
You were talking about tips to survive. So, it's kind of a no-brainer. Cut your expenses. Try to keep your staff as happy and consistent as possible. Anything else that folks can do?
Reward your staff and make them happy. I mean, especially if that's what your business is about. We don't sell cars. We don't make cars. We don't sell widgets.
Are you suggesting compensate them?
You can give them days off. I mean, paid.
That's
you don't lose money by giving them a day off or an afternoon off.
That's an extra vacation day.
Extra vacation day.
And
pizza for lunch. Treat them for pizza for lunch. You don't have to treat them to a nice dinner.
And sometimes it just helps to say, gee, in these hard times, thank you for your extra efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah,
people don't forget to say thank you.
I mean, two simple words, but people forget to say thank you.
I mean, I go to a grocery market and you get checked out. They don't say thank you anymore.
I know, and you know what? And any more than I ever did. And you know what I find very surprising? Banks, which are have a terrible image these days. All the years I've ever gone into a bank to deposit my money, no one has ever said thank you for doing business here. And after all, it's the same kind of client-business relationship.
Right. And that's management, I think. I mean, I don't blame the person who didn't say thank you to me. I blame the management who didn't say, when the customer comes in, you treat them with respect. They're giving us business. They're paying you a check. They're putting bread in your mouth.
Maybe one good fallout from the economic crisis, the fact that business will start to be appreciated again. Yeah.
And people will start to appreciate the business that they have.
Yeah.
So.
How are you handling? And this is something that people, small business, how are you handling advertising? There's a tendency when business shrinks to pull in your horns and not spend money on advertising, but the more you pull in your horns, the less people know about you.
Right.
And then, it's kind of like a falling knife to do that. How do you recommend handling
Well, you can
that?
look and see where your advertising dollar is best spent, and maybe you can eliminate some of the advertising medium that you don't give you a bang for the buck. There's the web, which is free.
That's it, right.
Websites, of course. Newsletter we put out to our clients. Free, and they love it, and that's a way of keeping in touch with them.
What is your newsletter center around?
You can send it under, it's the briggsnyc.com.
Yeah.
It comes out once a month, and it's usually New York City based on what's happening in New York, what's new, what's closed, what Broadway shows are opening, what's new. Geared specifically to our clients, so things they want to know about, what they want to know, what's closed that they would need to know about, and what's opening, what they need to know about.
Right.
But people read it, and your name is attached to it. And then you become also then a source.
You kind of become like another kind of Zagat
source of knowledge for them. And they respect what we say. We don't bullshit them. Sorry.
That's okay.
Because they know if we say this show is good for you, it's good for them. And at least knowing they trust our taste.
They trust your word.
Well, they're buying us for our taste and style. So if they like our taste and style, then they will go with us.
Exactly. Do you have repeat, your clients are repeat businesses?
All repeat business, mostly about 85%, and word of mouth,
right.
which is the best. You don't have to spend anything for that.
That's
it's the only business you can lose.
Kind of the best.
Yeah.
That's kind of the best advertising
Yes.
that you can. Yeah. How long have you seen this kind of downturn taking?
Well, I've been in the business since '85 now.
Have you lived through one of these before?
In the '80s, there was a turn down. 9/11, of course, in New York City.
Yeah, that was a big turn down.
So it comes back. The secret is a lot of my competition started to let their staff go during the bad times, and I think that was a mistake. I think you try to keep your base.
Yeah, it's important.
Keep your head down.
It's important. We want to emphasize it's important to keep that engine.
Exactly.
Stoked.
Engine, the heart, keep that going. You can maybe bring the blood pressure, bring your body temperature down, and keep it slow.
And also, Anthony, you can ask people to take a temporary income adjustment if necessary.
Right.
I mean, after all, there are a lot of folks that they're worried about keeping their job.
Right. Well, healthcare. We at this point we pay 100% for our healthcare. That might be another down the line.
Another way to save.
15% you pay or whatever. Yeah.
I guess it comes down to thinking outside the box and being nimble.
Nimble is a good word.
Nimble about looking for new ways to save money. But I think it's important, as you say, to still keep the morale. And there are certain things in the business world that are just the value is in splurging. The splurge is not always. I mean, we're getting your money's worth.
Right, exactly.
But splurge is not always a luxury.
Right. Well, thank you costs nothing.
Right, and a thank you costs nothing. And also, as you say, if you have to downsize, downsize. But there's a value to keeping a certain morale level going.
Well, once that morale starts to deteriorate, people will start to leave.
It's very hard.
It's hard to get it back up again.
It's very hard to get it back.
It's easier to keep it up, I think, than to get it to come back up.
Right. So in a word, if we have to summarize your strategy for staying alive and well in this economy, in under a minute, how would you summarize it?
Being always on your toes, being nimble, being a jazz player, listen to the music around you.
That's a good idea.
And adapt.
Adapt.
Sometimes you're playing this tune, sometimes playing that tune, but keeping your eyes open. Sometimes I tend to want to be staid and doing it the same way all the time. It's easier that way.
If you've been doing something for a long time, there's a tendency to say it's been working, why not now?
It's a hard thing to change, but I've learned to, I use jazz as a metaphor. You can't follow the script. You just have to know the tune and
you have to adapt, right?
And do riffs on it. Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks. Invite me to one of your events.
Oh, okay. Of course.
Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you.
I'm Judith West, and you're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. Thanks for watching.